Welcome to this SEC basketball reaction, this Tuesday night SEC basketball reaction, folks. I appreciate you joining me. Phenomenal night across the league. Just phenomenal night across the board here. Really, what is there? I mean, we had five, I think, really good games, all storylines within themselves we can take advantage of, guys. But this SEC basketball reaction, guys, it is brought to you by our new title sponsor, proud title sponsor, guys, FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, guys. There's no one better. There's no one better out there than the FANDUEL Sportsbook. So I highly encourage you guys, go out there and check them out with us. Cheers, something up. There we go, guys. But guys, just wanted to get right into it. Let's go to Lexington. Let's go to Lexington tonight. We had some tone-setting games. I think Kentucky was the biggest winner of the night. And that's why I want to pull it up first. Again, Kentucky getting the 75-64 win over Tennessee. Back and forth for a while. Again, Kentucky led by about 7.5. Kentucky shot 50% from the field, 50% from beyond the arc. I had 14 free throw attempts at home. Tennessee honestly had more, which is a little wild. Tennessee out-rebounding Kentucky 33-26. Total turnovers 9-8. So that was pretty across the board. No, it was not an ugly turnover game if you were a fan of either team. Well, let's just call it that. Largest lead, yeah, that's what it kind of felt like. It was like Kentucky was up anywhere from like 6 to 11, and it finally stretched out late. The big one in this one was just Kentucky's offense. They actually shot pretty well. And they've been defending a lot better the last two games. And I know it's just a sample size against the South Carolina basketball team. It's not awesome. And then obviously Tennessee is a bit limited offensively, and that's my concern long-term to get to the Final Four, in my opinion, for Tennessee and ultimately win the SEC regular season, which I think now it's 7-5. That's out the door. I think it's out the door. And I think it went out the door when they lost to Auburn a couple of weeks. But, yeah, Tennessee drops to 20-5, 7-5 in league play. Kentucky, big home win for Mark Pope and them, 17-7, 6-5 in league play. Kind of standouts tonight, what kind of stood out to me. Again, I thought Otega Oweh just continues to kind of be the lead by example. 13 points, 6 boards, just consistent. Kobe Brea had some big threes, shot 50% from the arc, total 11 points tonight. Lamont Butler, you could tell the way he defended Zakai Ziegler tonight. ZZ didn't have a lot of breathing room. Got up, close and personal, D'd him up. And again, you hate to see it. He re-injured that same shoulder. That will hurt. I was talking to someone on the phone right after that game. It's like, you hate to see that because they had some games on the stretch that they have some real opportunities, and I think he's one of the better defending guards in the country, especially in the league, in the SEC this year. And they're going to need him down the stretch. He gives them that extra spark. The guy's a winner. He came from San Diego State. The guy's a winner. He's won a lot of basketball games. He played for a national title just 2 years ago. Guys look up to him. So brand new team. That could hurt long-term. That is concerned. But for tonight, got to be fired up. Across the board. Ainsley Alamonor, 13 points as well, 1 board. Trent Noah hit some big shots. A very underrated guy in this game. 3 for 4 from beyond the arc, 11 points. Thought he did a good job. Travis Perry off the bench was really good as well. And then Brandon Garrison, 5 points. 5 rebounds, and he had 5 points as well. Had an and 1. So you like Kentucky needed to get that one at Rupp. They really needed to get that one at Rupp. You'd like to see that for Kentucky. For Tennessee, I mean, 16 from Igor Milicic. I say he's the X factor for Tennessee. He's the X factor for them from a standpoint of how this offensive ceiling is. Zakai Ziegler, 17 points. Chaz Linear, 10 points. 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. That can't happen. And again, issue for Tennessee. I didn't mention it when we were going over the team stats. 42% from the field. Close your eyes if you wear the bright orange. Close your eyes, close your ears, put your headphones on. 16.7% from beyond the arc. Not going to get it done. I don't care who you're playing. That will get you beat in March, and it's why I say every segment I go on, any show I do, I don't trust Tennessee offensively. I think Tennessee's sitting right in that 5th, 6th range right now. I know people are going to be like, whoa, they're one of the top 4. They're one of the 3 SEC teams that are fighting for a 1 seed. Well, that's true. It's true. There's something missing about this team. And it's just that offensive production night in, night out is just not there. It's just not there, folks. It really concerns me. Kentucky, it's going to be all about injuries. But what's coming up this weekend for the Wildcats? They will head to the Moody Center and face the Texas Longhorns, the beat-up Texas Longhorns, who we'll talk about here in a minute, but it's kind of the Trey Johnson show. That is a game Kentucky needs to go flush this one. They have an extra day. Obviously, they play on Tuesday. They have that extra day. Them in Texas both. But to go get that win at Texas, that'll be this weekend. The Vols head back home to host Vanderbilt. Both teams will be one that early tip, noon, hit the Tommy Bowl. You know Mark Byington, them like the fight they had tonight at Memorial against Auburn. I mean, again, they always have a good game plan. Until they're a really well-coached team. I mean, they were last year, if you keep up with college basketball hard, watching them at James Madison with Mark Byington. This is going to be a tough game for Rick Barnes. They got to flush this loss. They're collecting some league losses. They got to plug some holes. It can't – again, they're an NCAA tournament team, one of the better – they're in the top half of the league. I'm just not as sold on this Tennessee team because of what they do offensively. They don't really have a true bucket getter. I like Zakai Ziegler, one of the better defending guards in the league. But if he's the guy who you are counting on to go be your bucket getter night in, night out, I don't like that. I'll be completely honest with you from that perspective. Let's stay with the early action here. Let's go to Nashville, and Auburn fans would call it. I kind of just learned that term today. Auburn fans kind of calling it what, Auburn North? I think they said it's a big Auburn alumni base in Nashville, obviously. But Auburn gets the 80-68 win over the Vanderbilt Commodores. And it wasn't Memorial Magic. Again, the last 3 Saturdays it had been, folks. I mean, against Kentucky, against Tennessee, against Texas this past weekend. And Auburn came out firing. We're up 13-2, 13-0 right off the bat. It looked like, hey, and they did. They flexed their muscles off the loss to Florida on Saturday. You could tell they were locked in, but they breathed a little bit, and Vanderbilt got into the game, got back into it. It was a 2-point game at half. Auburn was up 34-32. Vanderbilt even took a 3-point lead in the second half at one point, folks. But then Auburn kind of – in that 12-minute, 16-minute, between that 16-minute, 12-minute mark around there, 12, 10-minute, kind of felt like they took control of the game, and Vandy was playing catch-up the whole time. And that relentless Auburn defense just was suffocating Vanderbilt. But Auburn shoots 51% from the field, 37.5% from beyond the arc. Vanderbilt, 41% from the field, 17% from beyond the arc. Not good enough from that perspective. Rebounding-wise, surprising here. Vanderbilt out-rebounding Auburn by 8, 37-29. That's one of the more shocking stats of the entire SEC season. Both Alabama and Auburn did not rebound the basketball well tonight. Alabama against Texas, obviously, and this one. I mean, because remember, this was a Vanderbilt team in non-conference play, guys. They got out-rebounded by Jackson State, who last time I checked was 0-12. I mean, that's a bit shocking here. Now, again, guys, I'm reacting to all this action as you are. Obviously, I have my pen, notepad, like I'm writing down as the game goes on. But like when I'm going to look at the box scores, because there was 5 games tonight. Nobody has a midweek bye this week. We're past that a little bit. 12 turnovers for Vandy, only 8 for Auburn. That's good. I mean, it's winning basketball. Auburn was up 16 at one point. Vanderbilt had a 3-point lead. Individually for Auburn, Janai Broome, 17 points. It wasn't a walking double-double tonight. Only 7 boards, which, I mean, it's a great night for most people, 17-7. But for him, it was not only 2 assists. I don't know if that ankle's starting to get a little wear and tear. Again, that's just my eyes. I know nothing. Denver Jones bounced back again. He was one that people were questioning a little bit after Florida, like, hey, against their better teams. And again, the stat was, I think, against 5 out of the top 10 teams Auburn's played. He's shooting poorly. And again, Vanderbilt's not a top 10 team, but still, if you're an Auburn fan, you love to see him bounce back. 21 points, 5 for 7 from around the arc. He was big. 20 points for Chaney Johnson, who I think is the most improved player in the SEC. Look, Auburn came out strong. You can tell they were pissed off the loss from Saturday. Got hit in the mouth, answered the bell in the second half, took a run middle of the second half, and went and finished the job as they head into a big matchup against Alabama on Saturday. Vanderbilt, Devin McLaughlin, 10 points, 13 points for Jason Edwards, 10 for A.J. Hogard, 8 for Jalen Carey off the bench. I'm really impressed with this Vanderbilt team, who is dropped to 17-5. They're 5-6 now in league play. I'm impressed with what Mark Byington's team's doing. Out of those 5 teams that I mentioned that I think are fighting for NCAA tournament bids in the SEC, Vandy, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, I like Vanderbilt out of those 5 right now. I like Vanderbilt out of those 5 the best to make the NCAA tournament. I do. I think the rest of them have major flaws, and even in losses at times, I'm like, I like them. Even a couple of weeks ago against Alabama, the way they kept fighting back in that last 4 minutes, the sets they came up with to stay in the game, just the strategy overall. Mike Byington had a real calmness on him, didn't really panic, let his team really play through that whole run Auburn came out on. And but give Bruce Pearl them credit. Real mature win coming off a loss. Got hit in the mouth. Thought they may coast to that one. And it wasn't a great matchup, but again, Vanderbilt rebounded Auburn. That's wild. What is coming up next for the Auburn Tigers? I mean, we know, guys. 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. First number 1 versus number 2 matchup in SEC basketball history. Alabama at Auburn. It'll be a movie. And again, I don't use that term a lot, but it will be a movie. That'll be a scene at Coleman Coliseum on Saturday. Again, we got both teams going in 10-1 in league play, fighting for a number 1 SEC, fighting for first place in the SEC, and really fighting for a number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, if we're being honest here. What's next for Vandy? Vandy heads to Knoxville this weekend. It's basically a big one. I mean, Vanderbilt sits at 17-7 right now. Overall in league, 5-6 in league play now. It'd be a big win to go get in Knoxville. It'll be tough, but I do trust they'll have a good game plan. Tennessee's going to be desperate too. Tennessee's going to be desperate for a win in that scenario as well. So that's actually one of the more underrated matchups in the league on Saturday. I'm actually pretty fired up about that one, honestly. And then 3 really good ones across the board here to open up the night. We have Florida going on the road again. Massive back-to-back road wins for Florida. Florida getting the 81-68 win over Mississippi State at the Hump. Florida really controlled this one from the beginning to the end. Florida improves to 21-3, 8-3. Mississippi State now 17-7, 5-6. I mean, Florida 45% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. Mississippi State 41% from the field, 25% from beyond the arc. Free throws weren't great for either team, really, but only 2 free throw disparage there. I mean, the difference was, Florida just continues to shoot well, and then Mississippi State had 15 turnovers, and Florida had 20 points off those 15 turnovers. That's kind of the game right there. Florida went and kind of got comfortable in the second half. This game really wasn't a 13-point win. This kind of felt like an 18 to 24-point win. The game was worse than this final score indicates, folks. It was. Florida got after them a little bit in that second half. Really, those 12 minutes from the 20 minute to about the 8-minute mark. I mean, they were getting after them. Largest lead again. Florida got up to 24 points in this game at one point. I mean, that was kind of the difference there. That big push out of the second half. Because, again, Mississippi State was up 34-33. They were up 1.5. Mississippi State was up. I mean, we had 2 epic kind of second half collapses by the 2 Bulldogs in our league. Mississippi State and Georgia were both up at half and had massive second half collapses that led to double-digit losses, which is wild there. But Denzel Aberdeen still doing big things for Florida. Had a big game the other day against Florida. Against Auburn in Neville Arena. He went for 20 tonight, 7 of 12 from beyond the arc, 3 of 8 from the field. Will Richard, 10 points. Ruben Chingulu, 10 points. Walter Clayton, 19 points. Unfortunately, early in the game, Alex kind of went down. It looked like a sprained ankle, right leg. Who knows how long he'll be out. He was out for the rest of the game. Again, Elijah Martin did not play in this one, so they were shorter bench. Thomas Hawk with 16 points. Again, this is a really good Florida team. They're hitting their stride right now. Give Todd Golden credit. They've had a ton of distractions this year. All his off-the-court stuff. And maybe Saturday was that kind of springboard game. We see it every year. Someone gets a big win, and it springboard them to a big finish. I said Florida was going to be out of the SEC regular season race. If Alabama beats Auburn on Saturday, Florida goes to Alabama in a couple weeks. They can win that. I know they're 2 games back from Bama. But, they're 2 games back from Auburn, too, but they own that tiebreaker because they only play once. That was a massive win for Auburn. For Florida. They still got to keep pace against this league. It's a beast. For Mississippi State, 19 points for Josh Hubbard. Again, 5 for 15, 4 for 12 from beyond the arc. But nothing really from anybody else. Keyshawn Murphy off the bench with 18, but R.J. Melendez 3. Cam Matthews has been better with 5. Michael Nwoko, you thought you'd get better with 5. Claudio Harris, thought you could maybe see some stuff out of that. I liked what I saw in the first half, but it didn't carry on to the second half in that collapse. Only 6 points for him. Riley Kugel gets his former team, 7 points, 3 of 6, 1 for 4 from behind the arc. Not terrible. He didn't shoot the rock a lot, but still. Something's up with Mississippi State. Don't really like where they're at right now. 17-7, 5-6 in league play. I thought Mississippi State, this was a team we were talking about heading into the Alabama game as anywhere from like a 2 to 4 seed. Guys, they're sitting in that 7 to 10 seed round. And I know that's 7, 8, 9. That's 4 different potential seed lines you could be on. They're starting to get into that 8, 9. You get that 8, 9 matchup. That's a coin toss. And then you're looking at Saturday, Sunday in your second round matchup playing a 1 seed, guys. Speaking of, we may have some SEC, probably 1 if you get 3 number 1 seeds, which I don't think the SEC is going to get 3 number 1 overall football seeds. But man, no, I mean it's wild. What's next for the Florida Gators here? Heading on, Florida will go back home, or 2 big road wins at Auburn and at Mississippi State, and they'll follow out South Carolina, another opportunity to get a home win. And then they followed up with Oklahoma midweek at home, 2 very winnable games. Then at LSU, then at Georgia, very favorable schedule down the stretch. Last 3 games, Texas A&M at home, at Alabama. And almost again, I'm telling you, if Alabama and Auburn could drop another one no one's really expecting down the stretch. And remember, one of them has to lose Saturday. We got Alabama-Auburn. I know you know that. You wouldn't be watching this. Florida's sneaking their way in there. And this was somebody who was kind of flushing their chances about 2 weeks ago, and especially after that Tennessee loss last week. But, man, that big Auburn game will get you back going there. For Mississippi State, what is next? The Bulldogs head to Oxford in a revenge game for the Ole Miss Rebels. Mississippi State got Ole Miss early in the season. They return the trip Saturday at Ole Miss. Again, Mississippi State lost 3 of the last 4. Starting Alabama, Missouri, you got to win against Georgia barely at home on the road Saturday, and then you lost to Florida. I mean, and 3 of those 4 were all at home. It's tough. Again, it's easy to say you can't lose home games. I mean, it's Florida, Missouri, Alabama, the top teams in this league, but still, you got to get some road games. I mean, you talk to any Mississippi State fans, and you just get frustrated. They can't seem to get over the top, and it's wild to say because Chris Jans, I think, is one of the better coaches in the league. I mean, he's about to take Mississippi State to their 3rd straight NCAA tournament in his first 3 years. No one's done that in the league. It's wild. He's an historic coach, technically, taking Mississippi State to 3 straight tournaments in his first 3 years. I don't think anybody's – I think Bruce Pearl's the only guy in the league it's taken in his first 3 years at an SEC program to the NCAA tournament in his first 3 years at Tennessee. So, he's an historic company, but I think they're ready to go get one of those big big home wins against Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, certainly Missouri, stuff like that. But just interesting down the stretch from that perspective, guys. But before we move on, guys, remember our new title sponsor, FanDuel. When the game tips off, it's basketball season now, folks. The NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on the 4th quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and SEC Unfiltered. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas and affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued in a non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 27 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's go to this late night. Let's go to the later night, or the late night edition, the 9 Eastern, 8 p.m. tips. Alabama having their best shooting performance of the season at the Moody Center. Bless the mood. Bama definitely blessed the mood tonight with their shooting with the 103-80 win, another 100-point triple-digit night for the Tide. As Bama shot 1 point, they were at 63.6% in the second half. Finished 58.6 from beyond the arc, 17 from 29. I was talking to somebody today. It's like, you hadn't had anything close to it because overall this Bama team isn't a great shooting team. They've kind of been hovering at that 32, 33 3-point percentage for most of the season. And usually under Nate Oates, they have some massive 3-point just bombs over Baghdad type performance where they're shooting lights out. They had it tonight. Answered the bell, 58%, rounded up to 57 if you want to go to the 0.6. But that was the story. 61% from the field, just could do what they did, whatever they wanted to offensively against Texas. Texas shot 42% from the field, 36% from beyond the arc. Bama out rebounds Texas 41-25, which is kind of shocking at times. That was a little shocking again. But Texas out rebounded them on the offensive boards, 14-11. Bama dominated them on the defensive boards, though, 30-11. Assists 17-12. Turnovers, it's going to get Bama beat. I was on Jock's radio today, and it's what is my biggest concern with Bama? Turnovers. They had 17 tonight. That can't happen. It's a miracle you win by 23 when you have 17 turnovers, but when you shoot 56% from beyond the arc, that helps. That'll put a big Band-Aid over that eyesore right there. Or over that sore, I should say. You wouldn't want to put a Band-Aid over your eyes, folks. But no, I mean, that's got to get cleaned up. I mean, I heard the TV broadcast talking in there. I'm forgetting my guy's name. Jimmy Dykes. So about Bama must be that 10 spot. I think what Bama's sweet spot and realistic sweet spot with the tempo they play with the NATOs, being that 12 would be 12-14 they can survive because the tempo they play with, the more you're going to push the tempo, take more shots, the more you're giving yourself the ability to turn the basketball over. It's common sense. So I think the real sweet spot, 12-14, they only turn the ball over 9 to 10 times a game. They wouldn't lose, especially if you're shooting 58%. Now, again, that's not what they've been normally doing, but tonight was the night. They do it every year, if not multiple times a year, since NATO's has been at Alabama since the 2019 season, where they will go off on people, and it's, hey, they would have beat anybody in the country tonight. But largest lead, 25 points. Texas had an early first half lead by 5. But, yeah, I mean, 26 points off Bama's turnovers. I mean, this would have been a 30-point game. For Alabama, Jaron Stevenson tonight, 22 points, 7 for 8 for the field, 4 for 5 from beyond the arc. Again, I think he is one of the higher upside NBA draft picks on this Alabama roster. People will say it's crazy. Where this guy started off, I think, 0 for 16, 0 for 18 from beyond the arc to start the season. It was a rough streak, but man, you're glad to see him bounce back. Grant Nelson with 7, Clifford Ramori with 2, Chris Youngblood with 5, Mark Sears with 18, Muhammad Diabate 13. LeBaron Filan, 15. Aiden Holloway still doing what he's doing, 18.6 for 10 from the field, 3 for 6 from behind the arc. One of the more improved players in the league, too. I mean, him and Chaney Johnson, 2 former Auburn teammates. It's honestly wild. That's another storyline going into the game on Saturday. But Bama improves to 21-3, 10-1. Texas drops to 15-10, 4-8. I mean, it's, again, the Trey Johnson show, and he played well. I mean, 24 points. Again, he got off to a quick 10. He got out to a quick 10 points, and then Bama kind of just kept going LeBaron Filan on him. Chris Youngblood would play a little physical. You could tell in the second half it was wearing on him how physical Bama was getting. They're throwing elbows into him. And even when he'd come off screens on out-of-bounds plays, he was kind of fading and expecting to get contact, and he'd mess with him and he'd be off balance. So, I mean, Bama did a good job after initially giving up 10 points right off the bat. But Arthur Kaluma went out in the first half, never played again. I thought Caden Shedrick showed some toughness, 8 points, 5 boards. But, I mean, it's the Trey Johnson show. It's the Trey Johnson show. Tremont Mark, the mid-range Mark. Julian Larry, I mean, a foul machine. If like he picked up his 3rd foul in the first half. This team just isn't very deep right now. I mean, Jason Kent off the bench had a nice night, 19 points, 6 for 9, 2 for 4 off the bench. But Bama, very mature win heading into a massive matchup on Saturday. Bama went right to Austin, watched the Super Bowl on Sunday. So they haven't been back to Tuscaloosa because remember they played Arkansas late Saturday night. They just thought from a body clock standpoint, they might as well just go to their next game since they're playing Tuesday night and not just go back to Tuscaloosa. I have to go get on a flight on Monday. It makes sense. It makes sense. I think Coach Adams, their defensive coach who came from the Detroit Pistons, was talking about how they do it in the NBA. So that was big. But what's next for Bama? Obviously, the matchup against Auburn. I mean, Bama's got the hardest schedule remaining in college basketball. So that's why I like Auburn to win the league just off the edge of that. But this is a massive one. Saturday, there's no way to sugarcoat it. This will be a big one, one of the funner games we've ever had, most fun games we've ever had in SEC basketball history. Remember, it's the first time number 1 and number 2 have ever played each other in SEC basketball history, which is wild to think. Texas, what's next for the Hornets? They host Kentucky. They need to have it. I mean, they're 15-10, 4-8. They're in that group of 5 teams, Vandy, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, fighting for bids. I think there's 9 teams that are in the NCAA tournament right now. Not all of them have locked it up, but you feel safe in saying it. I think you got 2 teams in LSU and South Carolina that are out. I think Texas is one of those group of 5 teams. They got to get it going. It just, I don't know, it feels like a very tired team. You could see them walk into the locker room at half, coming off the floor, and I was talking on the phone with somebody. It's like, they look exhausted. They look exhausted. But again, Bama answers the bell before a big one. Give them credit. And then finally, a true tale of 2 halves here. A true tale of 2 halves in College Station. I mean, what happened? I mean, I was watching it. I had it on my dual monitor, but man, A&M coming out getting for sure covering the 8.5 and getting the double digit 69-53 win. Yeah, I mean, wild. A&M improves to 19-5, 8-3 in league play. Georgia drops to 16-9, 4-8 in league play. I mean, Georgia had a 32-23. I mean, nothing insurmountable, but 9 points at half, feeling good. That'd have been a massive road win. And maybe I jinxed it with me tweeting about it. But A&M shoots 40% from the field, 30% from beyond the arc. Georgia, 32.7% from the field, 28% from the arc, 53 points. It's just, they scored 21 points in the second half. I mean, unbelievable. 14 turnovers for them, 12 for A&M. A&M dominated the paint, 32-14. I mean, Georgia had an 11-point lead at one point in that first half, and obviously Georgia ended up winning by 21. Had a lead up to 21 and it won by 16. But true tale of two halves there. I mean, it really was. Yeah, I mean, free throw differential. I mean, Georgia at Texas A&M had 18 free throw attempts to Texas A&M 16. They had 2 more. I mean, you can't make that up. Sorry, folks, got to get my green tea on at night to bring y'all this live reaction, guys. I hope y'all are enjoying it. But no, I mean, that's why 9 blocks for Georgia. A lot of that happened in the first half. But just a tale of two halves. Georgia is just so inefficient offensively right now. I mean, they can do nothing. For A&M, though, 13 points for Pharrell Payne, 10 points for Zurich Phelps, 12 points for Wade Taylor, 17 points off the bench from Solo Washington, Solomon Washington. He did a nice job, 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. A&M just came out and made a terrible first half. Scored 46 in the second half, so they turned it on offensively. It's just a true tale of two halves. After I was hyping up A&M as a potential Final Four sleeper, again, I don't think they can win it all. They don't have the offensive firepower, but they have a style where they rely on Wade Taylor, they rely on Zurich Phelps, and those guys know, hey, if you're going to miss short, miss to the side, don't miss long. I mean, you heard Wade Taylor after he hit the big 3 against Missouri the other day. Hey, I know my last one I hit long, hit off the back iron, didn't give my guys a shot to offensive rebound. They all are aware it's a veteran team. They get to the free throw line. I could see this team getting hot and making a trip right down the road to San Antonio. For Georgia, what do we do? I mean, just finding ways to lose. Reminds me of LSU a little bit. They're just so offensively inefficient. I mean, Silas Demery, 19 points tonight. Blue Kane, 17. Asa Newell, pretty quiet, 17 points, 1 for 6, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. Getting 3 points combined from the bench, 1 from Drezick, and then Montgomery had 2. I mean, just not a good basketball team right now. Just not a good basketball team. What's coming up for Texas A&M this weekend? They will host Arkansas. They need to get that one at home. Again, these teams start to play. Arkansas can go pick up an opportunity to win that one. The A&M, it's one that you think they'd like to have. They'd be able to get it home, but certainly Arkansas could get it. For Georgia, you're just trying to get a win here at this point. They play Missouri. I mean, their next 3: Missouri at home, at Auburn, and they host Florida. I mean, it's a team that's lost 3 of their last 4 as well. At Alabama, beat LSU, lost to Mississippi State, lost to Missouri. It's just kind of gone downhill in SEC play really since they started. I mean, they're in that group of teams. I'm telling you, Georgia, Vandy. And I'm starting to lean Vandy making the tournament here. I'm starting to put them in. I like them the most. Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas. Georgia's been just fading down the stretch. They just can't get anything going offensively. I mean, remember in the Alabama game in the first half, they were shooting 7% from beyond the arc. Just can get nothing going for A&M right now. But the SEC standings here, let's go over it real quick before we get out of here, guys. Auburn and Alabama still tied 10-1. Florida sits at 8-3, Texas A&M 7-3, Ole Miss 7-4. Let's make sure these are refreshed though. Yeah. Yeah, 10-1, 8-3. Texas A&M 7-3, Ole Miss 7-4, Missouri 6-4, Tennessee 7-5, Kentucky 6-5, Mississippi State 5-6, along with Vanderbilt at 5-6, Georgia 4-7, Texas 4-7. Oklahoma 3-7, Arkansas 3-7, LSU 1-9, and South Carolina still over with the goose egg at 0-10. Remember, folks, I'm telling you, these kind of group of teams, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, those are we want to watch the Alabama, Auburn games of the world to see who wins the league. But those games when these teams, those group of 5 teams play, those 5 teams playing for those NCAA tournament bids, those will be fun to watch, man. I mean, those will be fun to watch. again, it's kind of the race too to the top 4 seeds. I mean, because you get a top 4 seed, you get a double bye in Nashville. You don't play till Friday. I mean, you're kind of grouping teams. Auburn, Alabama, you feel good about getting a top 4 seed. Florida, you could probably throw there. You got A&M, Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee. And you want to throw Kentucky in that? I mean, right now, to that last 4 spot is between teams like, or the 2 of the last 4 spots are between Florida, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Missouri. Right now is what I would say. With A&M, with Kentucky and Tennessee potentially rising, but no, I mean, wild to say again. We have the big one, guys. Auburn and Alabama on Saturday. But before we do, guys, again, we got 3 games tomorrow. We got Ole Miss at South Carolina at 7 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network. Oklahoma at Missouri could be a big potential win here for Oklahoma, for Porter Moser and them on the road against the Missouri team that's played really well this year. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network. Then LSU at Arkansas. It's a game, remember, Arkansas fighting to get back in the NCAA tournament, trying to get in. This is a game you can't afford to lose at home. They already lost LSU once this year down in Baton Rouge at the PMAC. You can't lose this game. So a big opportunity. Ole Miss, again, I think Ole Miss is fine no matter what. They obviously don't want to lose South Carolina. This is more for a top 4 seed in the SEC for Ole Miss, I think, and not to avoid a bad loss. Oklahoma, big opportunity. Like I mentioned, Arkansas, must have. But overall, guys, man, I appreciate you guys joining us, man. A fun night. 5 really good games. Alabama and Auburn both take care of business heading into their massive matchup for first place in Tuscaloosa on Saturday afternoon. A&M has a big second half to surge past Georgia. Georgia left a lot of meat on the bone. Could have got a massive road win. Florida continues back-to-back. I mean, has anyone had 2 better road wins? Again, you throw in Auburn, winning at Auburn. No one really does that. So, I mean, yeah, that amounts to, I'd have to say the 2 biggest road wins, or the best road win this year, obviously, is Florida. And then you put that together when you go to the Hump, a tough place to play against an NCAA tournament team like Mississippi State. Hell of a 2-game stretch for Todd Golden in Florida. And Kentucky, Mark Pope get a massive win at home, and they really needed that if they're going to continue to fight for a top 4 spot in the SEC as well, guys. But hey, guys, do not forget, guys, this basketball, this Tuesday night basketball reaction was brought to you by our new title sponsor, FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, guys. Again, this reaction brought to you by our buddies over at FanDuel. I will see you guys again tomorrow night to look back on these next 3 games for tomorrow night, guys. Hey, for your lead college basketball analyst, Dave Shumate, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your late night. I appreciate you taking the time and joining me, guys. But hey, before we do, the road to 20,000, guys, go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, guys. I know most of you, there's 500 of you listening right now. I know a lot of you aren't subscribing. Guys, go to the YouTube page, click like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Tell us how we can be better. Again, I went undefeated tonight, 5-0, guys. Just telling you, but in all seriousness, guys, I appreciate you joining us. For Dave Shumate, you have a great rest of your evening.